Hi everyone, welcome to my first video in what I'm hoping might become a series of Wings of Fire discussion live streams. What this means is that every time I choose to make a video like this, I'll be talking about an element of the Wings of Fire series. This will, of course, include spoilers, as I can't have a discussion without spoilers. Also, I highly encourage you to put your own questions or comments into the chat, and if you're not watching this live, into the comments section. So, as the title suggests, today we'll be talking about genetics and Wings of Fire, and more specifically, Animus Magic. As this is a rather complicated topic, I'll be using this sheet of pointers in case I get sidetracked or forget something. But first, a review. So, if you don't remember or haven't read the books, in which case you definitely should, Animus Magic is a power that some dragons have that lets them control things. Jokes aside, though, it's basically it's a hereditary trait that some dragons have that allows them to do enchantments with words, and if they're powerful enough, they can do it just with their thoughts. It's rumored that the only thing Animus Magic can't do is bring a dragon back from death. However, I've seen this referred to as basically a certainty, so maybe I'm wrong and it is confirmed. But here's the thing. Seeing as how much Animus Magic influenced the last arc, Tui has said that she doesn't really want it to have a part to play in this arc. But that's also really agonizing because we don't know who got rid of it. For those of you who thinks it's obviously Jerboa II, stick around until later and we'll talk about that. The first thing we're going to do is determine whether the Animus gene is dominant or recessive. We can use the Punnett square to help with this, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Anyway, the dominant traits are represented by capital letters and the recessive ones by lowercase letters. Also, please note that there are other forms possible, but they would be awfully redundant and thus not really worth covering. So basically, here are some examples of what could happen. Remember that the capital T's are dominant and the lowercase ones are recessive, which will be more important. So now it's time to decide. I believe that Animus Magic is dominant. Basically, we know this is true because it is stated that the Nightwings never had an Animus until a Darkstalker, who inherited it from his father, who had the gene. His mother, however, did not. So for him to have it, the gene simply can't have been recessive, and must have been dominant. Also, you can just think of it as the kids of any Animus being Animi, because of how unlikely it is that the other parent would have the gene, and the canonically confirmed non-Animus parents of Animi, it's pretty much impossible for the gene to be recessive. So unless I'm terribly wrong and making a huge mistake, it has to be dominant. So now that we've covered that, how does it help us determine anything aside from shipping Animi with other dragons? Well, I'm not going to lie, but unless there's a secret Animus somewhere, which there might actually be, but I guess that's unlikely because of Darkstalker's throne room summons, it isn't really worth much. So now would probably be a good time to talk about the origins of Animus Magic. It's nearly certain that Animus Magic must have begun in the Animus tribe. I mean the Icewing tribe. Sorry about that. We know this because it is stated that Icewings have had magic for the longest, along with the fact that Seawings and Nightwings got their magical bloodlines from the Icewings in the form of hybrid dragons. The only potential weak spot in this theory is Jerboa, not the second one, but her mother. The thing is that it's not stated whether she has or hasn't Animus Icewing blood, so we don't know where she got her Animus powers. However, of course, like a lot of things, the main characters might just be wrong about this, and it's entirely possible that she has some Icewing blood, which would make a ton of sense. Also, I just want to say this is a likelihood, not confirmed, but let's be real, it's probably true. Well, okay, so there's that. So now we'll talk about who might have disabled Animus Magic. The most obvious answer is Jerboa II, who, in the Poison Jungle's epilogue, in response to Queen Snowfall saying she was useless as Animus Magic was disabled, well, here's how the passage is of the book. So this is the last two lines, and it says, "Completely useless," Jerboa thought, allowing herself the smallest of smiles. Yes, just like I've always wanted. Now, this is definitely hinting at something big, and at Jerboa being the one who disabled the magic, But here are some reasons as to why it's possible that she wasn't the person who did it, or dragon rather. 1. Though it's extremely likely that Jerboa hated being an animus and being used because of her power, because who wouldn't, she realizes how dire the threat from Pantala is, and how urgent it is to save the Pantalan refugees fleeing across the sea. And she probably knows that Animus Magic may be the only way to fight the other mind coming over. So while making herself not an animus would make sense, there's not really a reason to disable the entire thing. So here's my second point. Tui has said that we'll learn who disabled the magic in book 14, which comes out in March of 2021. Now, I think that Tui has made it clear that she doesn't think that we are dumb or that we can't understand hits. So why would she say this why would she say she was going to make it official if it was Jerboa? It just doesn't make much sense, does it? Now, the last one is a lot weaker than the previous 2 points, but I don't know, it seems really obvious, maybe too obvious. Could it be that Tui is just hinting at this so she can prove our expectations wrong in the next book? It might be likely, as cliffhanger endings like this often don't mean what they're directly interpreted to mean. Though this piece of evidence doesn't exactly sell it for me either, when paired with the previous 2, I think this is a pretty strong case, and I mean, the fact that it's the last 2 lines of the book, there could be a very strong argument made that it is Jerboa, but combined with these points, I don't know, I think I'm sold that it wasn't. So now let's take a completely different turn and talk about tribal evolution. Now, first of all, we know that both the Silkwings and the Highwings evolved from the now extinct Beetlewings, along with the help of a crazy great-grandmother horror show, some incest, and a worshipped idiot who nearly let her boyfriend destroy the world, so I won't talk about that, because, well, we already know it, so it's not a theory. This also means that if I refer to the Beetlewings, by extension of that, I'm also referring to their Silkwing and Highwing descendants. So, this is the first theory. I think that the Beetlewings, Leafwings, and Rainwings are evolved from a single tribe. I don't believe that they evolved from one another, and they all came from another extinct tribe that isn't the Beetlewings. I think this is true because all of them share different traits, but not all of them have the same traits. My evidence for this is that the photosynthesis trait, along with the more forest lifestyle, are shared between the Rainwings and the Leafwings. Along with this, the venom and unique color traits are shared between the Beetlewings and the Leafwings, which points to another tribe that they both, or all 3 of, may have evolved from. Next, I think that the Mudwings, Icewings, and Seawings might be related. Though it's not as deep or likely as the previous theory, all these tribes use water as a huge part of their lives. They can all survive underwater longer than other tribes and share a lot of traits with one another. I think it's likely that the Mudwings are Seawings with Sandwing and or Skywing blood, which would also explain their kingdom's location in between those kingdoms. I also think it's likely that the Icewing tribe may have been formed from refugees or travelers from the Sea Kingdom, just because, well, if you go around Pyria, depending on which side you go from the Kingdom of the Sea, you'll probably wind up in Pantala or the Ice Kingdom. And we know that this is true because how else would Typhoon's parents have met, since he was a Seawing and Icewing hybrid? So it's definitely possible to go from one side of the continent to another. This is definitely not as likely as the previous theory, but I don't think it would be too surprising if it was confirmed, although I don't think it will be. Lastly, unlike some others, I don't believe that there is a current base tribe for the others that would have evolved into them. Some people think that maybe Skywings evolved into other tribes, or Sandwings, or something else. But I think, well, while I don't think that this is true, I think maybe that all of the dragons might have evolved from an extinct dragon type. So this means the base tribe can't, or at least shouldn't be alive right now. And I think it's definitely an extinct race if it does exist, sort of like the predecessor for the Pantalan tribes and Rainwings that I mentioned earlier. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, comment with any questions, comments, or if you would like to see more videos like this, and subscribe for more Wings of Fire content. I'll see you in the next video.